There are several NBA basketball teams with a real opportunity of winning an NBA championship this year. I'll tell you my picks in this episode as we go through the NBA bracket 2023 and who I think's going to take home the chip. What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining me. This is Nate's Basketball Analysis. So, for the sake of the show, I did two different brackets because if you've watched previous episodes, you know that I picked the Clippers to win. So, I'll put my bracket up on the screen so you're able to see what's going on here and who I've picked. I'm going to look at it here in front of me so I know what's going on also. In the bracket where I have the Clippers, I have them beating the Suns, the Nuggets, the Golden State Warriors, and then the Bucks in the finals. So that's as far as I'll go with that. I'll also go to a couple call-outs from previous videos and say I called that the Mavericks would not make the playoffs and that the Kings would end their 13-year drought. Sure enough, I should say. I also picked Joel Embiid for MVP, which has not been announced, but the regular season is now over and the play-in begins tomorrow. My dark horse for winning the MVP was Jokic, which I think those two are the front runners at the moment, so we'll see what happens. As we jump into my bracket, you'll see up on the screen here that there are several teams in the Wild Wild West that are contenders this year. However, it's not what you really expected due to injuries and other things. I'll point out the reasons why I think these teams are going to win, but I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll go ahead and say a brief synopsis on why I think teams are going to win. First off, we'll go with the play-in tournament and say that the Lakers are playing Minnesota Timberwolves. They don't stand a chance in tomorrow's game. I think the Lakers will take that and get the 7th seed, especially with Rudy Gobert and the incident that happened punching Kyle Anderson. He's suspended for a game, and I don't know that he makes the Timberwolves that much better, honestly. But Lakers are going to move on for sure. That's my guess there. Then you get New Orleans Pelicans against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't think the Thunder are quite there yet. I'm going to say New Orleans is going to win that, which means they'll take on the Timberwolves since they're the loser of the Lakers-Timberwolves game. And I think the Pelicans will win it again to get that 8th seed in the Western Conference. As it's set up, you've got the 1st seed versus the 8th seed, the Denver Nuggets taking on the Pelicans, if I'm correct. Then I have the Nuggets winning that in 5 games. Below that in the next bracket, you've got 4 versus 5, the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Clippers. I have the Suns moving on in 6. Reason why? Kevin Durant's there and has the experience. The Clippers traded away a lot of their good pieces. I don't think that they have what it takes to move on and beat the Suns. The Suns are experienced and have made it to the Western Conference Finals. So I'm going to go with the Suns on that one. Then there's the 3 seed versus the Golden State Warriors 6 seed. Sacramento Kings are the 3rd seed. I have the Warriors 6 seed beating a 3rd seed. Who would have thought? Warriors in 6. The Warriors take it serious, but not serious enough. And not quickly enough. So, generally it takes them a while to finish teams off. Sacramento's been pretty decent, and they've earned the 3rd seed, but they don't have experience. I take experience over inexperience in that one. So I'm taking Golden State. I also have the Memphis Grizzlies up against, if it's correct, the Los Angeles Lakers, which last year I picked a 7th seed over a 2 seed and immediately regretted it. I picked the Nets over the Boston Celtics, and then the Celtics were amazing. So, I am going to make that same crazy mistake again, but I hope it's not a mistake. I think the Lakers teach the Memphis Grizzlies a lesson and move on from that round. If they don't, it'd be more interesting to watch the Grizzlies play the Warriors in the 2nd round. So, really crossing my fingers for that one. Plus, I don't really like the Lakers, so I would love to see them lose. But I think the Lakers and their experience And especially with where they started the season, to see them move on would be huge. So I have the Lakers moving on, the 7th seed beating the number 2 Memphis Grizzlies. Then that leaves me with the Nuggets versus Suns and Warriors and Lakers still in the West. I pick the Suns over the Nuggets in 6 games. I think it'll take the Suns some time to beat that number 1 seed Nuggets. But, again, experience versus inexperience. Who knows if the Nuggets are ever going to be able to get over the hump. I see them a lot like the Utah Jazz that just decided to blow it up because they didn't have the pieces. Luckily, Denver does have Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, and Jamal Murray all in play this year. So, if injuries don't play into that, it'll be a good series. It'll be interesting to watch. Denver ultimately could move on, but I am not picking them. In the bottom portion, I have the Warriors versus the Lakers. I have the Warriors in 7. That'll be a little bit of a finals recap from when Cleveland played the Warriors. LeBron's getting older in years. That's why he has a better team now. However, I think Warriors still take them out. It'll be really interesting. But then, I don't think they have enough gas to beat the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. So I have the Suns beating the Warriors in 7. That'll be Chris Paul finally beating his previous record. Well, he's made it to the finals before, but he always seems to lose those 2-0 commanding leads. So let's see if he can go up on the Warriors and then hold it. See what happens. So I have the Suns in the finals. In the Eastern Conference, back to the play-in. For the play-in, I have the Toronto Raptors and the Chicago Bulls playing. Winner of that, I have the Toronto Raptors. Then there's the Miami Heat, 7th seed, and the Atlanta Hawks, 8th seed. Miami Heat will win that and move to the 7th seed spot to officially take on Boston, the number 2 seed. I've got Atlanta then playing Toronto, and I've got Toronto winning again. So Toronto will take the 8th seed position and play Milwaukee in the first round. I've got Milwaukee winning in 5 against Toronto, which makes me sad because Toronto is one of my favorite teams. Then we've got the newly established Cleveland Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell taking on the newly established New York Knicks with Jalen Brunson, which is a little bit of a recap or a rerun from last season when the Jazz played the Mavs. And the Mavs won. I think Donovan's going to get his revenge, and I have the Cavs winning in 6 to then face the Bucks in the second round. Moving down the bracket, I've got the Philadelphia 76ers against the Brooklyn Nets, and I have the 76ers winning in 6. No need to say anything there. Brooklyn doesn't have their stars anymore, and Philadelphia has James Harden and Joel Embiid. I think they'll be a tough team to beat, especially with Tyrese Maxey on there as well. Then, on the very last section, I have the Boston Celtics taking on the Miami Heat. I think that'll be easy for Boston. They'll beat them in 5. So no sweeps in the first round. No sweeps at all this year, in fact. The 76ers will then take on Boston Celtics. And I have the Celtics in the bottom half winning in 6 over the 76ers. Then in the upper half, I have the Bucks and the Cavaliers. I have the Bucks beating the Cavaliers, but it's tough for them in 7 games. I think Donovan will put up a fight. I don't think he'll get past that second round, which he's never made it past before in his career. So, if they do, exciting for them. If they don't, I think the Bucks are the better team, and they've earned that number 1 spot. That leaves the number 1 and the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference Finals to take on one another. That's the Bucks and the Celtics. I have the Celtics winning in 7 games, which means the Celtics and the Suns in the finals. I pick the Boston Celtics in 6 games, and that is my champion. I know I said the Los Angeles Clippers before the season began with trades and things that happened and an injury to Paul George. I think the Boston Celtics will win this year. Jason Tatum will get his first ring. I think he'll get MVP. Even though I'd really prefer it to be Jaylen Brown. I think he brings a lot more to the team than Jason Tatum does. Say in the comments whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me, whether you think that this is actually the way it's going to play out? Do you think Memphis will actually beat the Grizzlies? I mean, there's a lot that could happen this year. I think the West, like I said, is wild. There's a lot that could happen in the West, and it's strange to see what might happen. But ultimately, I have Boston winning over Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker. So, it'll be an interesting run this year. I'm excited to see what happens. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and follow along, share with all your friends, and I'll see you next time on Nate's Basketball Analysis.